Christ, our Paschal Lamb, has been sacrificed. Let us then feast with joy in the Lord. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
My brothers and sisters, the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. That very day, the first day of the week, 2 of Jesus' disciples were going to a village 7 miles from Jerusalem called Emmaus, and they were conversing about all the things that had occurred. And it happened that while they were conversing and debating, Jesus himself drew near and walked with them, but their eyes were prevented from recognizing him. He asked them, "What are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped, looking downcast. One of them, named Clopas, said to him in reply, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know of the things that have taken place there in these days?" And he replied to them, "What sort of things?" They said to him, "The things that happened to Jesus, the Nazarene, who was a prophet, mighty in word and deed, before God and all the people, how our chief priests and rulers both handed him over to a sentence of death and crucified him. But we were hoping that he would be the one to redeem Israel, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since this took place. Some women from our group, however, have astounded us. They were at the tomb early in the morning and did not find his body. They came back and reported that they indeed had seen a vision of angels who announced that he was alive. And some of those with us went to the tomb and found the things just as the women had described, but him they did not see." And he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are! How slow of heart to believe all that the prophets spoke! Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and so enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them what referred to him in all the scriptures. As they approached the village to which they were going, he gave the impression that he was going on farther. But they urged him, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them, and it happened that while he was with them at table, he took bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them. With that, their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, but he vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he spoke to us on the way and opened the scriptures to us?" So they set out at once and returned to Jerusalem, where they found gathered together the 11 and those who were with them, saying, "The Lord has truly been raised and has appeared to Simon." Then the 2 recounted what had taken place on the way and how he was made known to them in the breaking of the bread. The Gospel of the Lord.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Good afternoon once again. Still Easter, such a glorious time. Speaking of Easter, the Lord has given us yet another Easter gift in the Erie area in yesterday evening's NFL draft. Hey, you laugh, but you won't laugh in a second. We have something to be very truly proud of in our Erie community of seeing the gift of new life in this young man, James Conner. You know, knowing him and seeing the work that he does with Ian and the greater Erie community and in McDowell and everywhere else, something that we should be very much proud of. But I say this guardedly because I know that there's a good number of you, as I get the emails, on the regular basis when I bring up anything Steelers for the pulpit that I get yelled at. Well, you better not yell at me anymore. Just kidding. More on him later, but it is a great gift. Mark Twain once said, "The two most important days in your life are when you are born and when you find out why." The two most important days in your life, when you are born and when you find out why. My friends, we are all on our road of Emmaus, our own journey that toggles between despair and blessings, sin and freedom, life and oppression. Our own journey is filled with its moments when we need to be reminded of what life is truly about and its purpose. And what Easter reminds us is that we have a purpose because of what has been given to us. What has been given to us is redemption and new life. This was the point Jesus was trying to get across to these two disciples that we just heard about. That his purpose gives us purpose. His purpose gives us purpose. Somewhere between recognizing him as that prophet and then seeing him as the risen Christ, these disciples understood in their own journey their purpose as well. But it started with Jesus breaking open the scriptures for them once again. And to keep in mind an ancient Hebrew tradition, the three books of scripture that they would have known most likely by heart would have been the law, the prophets, and what was considered by ancient Jewish writing, the writings. These three sections of books made up the scriptures. And through all of these three sections of books, hence the Old Testament, this underlying tone that the Messiah would suffer, die, and then rise was very well known to them. So keeping that in mind up here as we reflect on this gospel down here will help us to understand perhaps what Jesus was trying to do. And what Jesus was trying to do was to help them to understand their purpose. But this wasn't fully realized until he vanished from their midst. Because it was only then when they recognized the risen Lord in the breaking of the bread, that they recognized their purpose as disciples. This is why Easter is more than just a celebration of a moment in history. If that is all that it is, then we can put the flowers away, take the candles down, pack up the church, and move on. Because Easter is more than just a moment in history. It is a true way of life, of finding our purpose, of recognizing him walking beside us in the normal everyday moments, and most importantly, seeing that he gives us what we most need when we most need it, in his word, and then in the Eucharist. Easter is the way that leads us on our journey. And so what does this mean for us? What this means for us is that we are called once again, anew each and every day, to invite him into our midst, to let him walk with us on our own Emmaus journey. But then that also means that once we have been rejuvenated by him anew, that we invite others to encounter him by our action as well. I leave you this afternoon with these words once again. The two most important days in your life, when you are born and when you find out why. May you know why you have been born, to give the risen Lord glory and to invite him on your own journey. Please stand. I invite our parents and our godparents of Hope and Robert to please come into the sanctuary.